Okay, this is our last video for lesson 2 of Learn to Quilt. This is the Friendship Star. You're going to be making 2 of these, and so I'm just going to demonstrate one here for you now. So the first thing you need to do is you need to take 4 of your half square triangles that are all from the same fat quarter, and also the 3.5 inch square from that same fat quarter, which is going to go in the middle, and then you're going to have 4 3.5 inch squares of your background fabric on the outside. And then we're going to sort of put this together basically as 3 rows. So if we kind of spread these out a little bit, you're going to sew these 3 together first, and then you're going to sew those 3 together, and then you're going to sew these 3 together. And what we're going to do with these is we're going to press our seams out towards the squares or away from the half square triangle. The center row we're going to press in towards the middle square, and then for the bottom row, just like the top row, we're going to press out towards the outside square. So I'm going to get these put together first. Right, so here's my top row, here's my middle row, here's my bottom row. Okay, so I've joined those 3 together, those 3 together, and those 3 together. And when I pressed these, I pressed out the way, middle row I press in the way, bottom row I press out the way. So the next step, of course, is to join the top row to the middle row, and then after that join the bottom row to the middle row. And when you do these, both of these, you're going to press them in towards the center row. So let's pin these 2 together first. So we've got 2 seams here that intersect each other. We need to pin those. Our seams are going in the opposite direction because we press those out and we press those in. So when we put them right sides together, we are able to just slide those 2 seams right up till they lock into each other. And we pin, again, perpendicular to the direction that we would be sewing. Same thing with that other one. We're going to slide them into each other until they lock and put a pin just next to where they are. I would also just recommend a pin quite near the beginning of the row and another pin near the end of the row. That way you're not going to have any slippage and funny things on the outside where one bit sticks out a little bit further than the other. So we're going to sew these 2 rows together, then we're going to do the same thing on the other side with the other one. Okay, so just to make sure it all makes sense, so we've sewn these 2 together, and I've, as per your instructions, I've pressed the seam towards the middle. Now what we need to do is we need to, again, we're going to pin so that those seams intersect. So right sides together, pin it, and then we're going to sew this bottom set onto the middle. Okay, so that is the first Friendship Star block done. So you have to make a second Friendship Star block after you've made this one, and you put it together exactly the same way, just with your other set of your final set, basically, of your half square triangles with your fat quarter 3.5 inch square in the middle, and you put it together exactly the same way, except for one thing. At the very end, when you're sewing these 3 rows together, with this one what we did was we pressed the 2 seams in the way. When you make the second set, which I've already made just to show you, you're going to, with that one, press these seams out the way, okay? And there's a reason for that. That's because we are joining these 2 together as our next step, and so where these 2 seams intersect, we want the seams going in the opposite direction for pinning. So this one goes in, that one goes out. So now when we put them right sides together to put them together with the seams going the opposite way, we can just slide those 2 seams till we feel them lock, and we'll pin them together. Okay, and then same thing on this side. We're going to slide them till we feel them lock into each other, pin those 2 together. This is going to make everything fit really, really nicely, okay? And then we're going to put a pin, again, near the very beginning of our seam. and we'll put one at the end or near the end. And again, these are always perpendicular to how you'll be sewing, so that when you're sewing, you can come right up to that pin before you have to pull it out. Okay, so I'm gonna go sew this. Right, I've sewn these together, so that's how they look together. So this seam here, you can press it either one way or the other way. I happen to press mine towards the left. This is another of these cases where it doesn't really matter which way you press that particular seam. Okay, so we now have another spacer. This is a 1.5 by 18.5 background fabric that we have cut from the background, and it is going to get sewn to the top. And once we've sewn this on, then we are going to press the seam up towards the that spacer unit. So again, we're gonna go right sides together, and we're gonna pin the beginning and the end first. So pin there. I'm gonna do another pin here. Okay, and then what I'll kind of do is, I think mine's just a tiny bit tight. I didn't get my seam allowances exactly perfect. So what I'm going to do is just kind of ease in this a little bit and just, you know, make sure that I'm not leaving myself with a lump somewhere. So my Friendship Star unit is just a tiny bit bigger than my spacer, but that's okay. I can ease that in. Okay, so I got enough pins there to make sure I don't end up short when I get to the outside edge. So now I'm going to go sew that. Okay, there's my 2 Friendship Stars with the spacer unit above, and that's everything from lesson 2. In your instructions for lesson 2, you do also have some instructions for how to put sort of the bottom third of the quilt together using some of the ladder units and the flying geese units you did in lesson 1. I'm probably not going to demonstrate that because it's too big, and for my camera setup, I don't think I can fit it all in. But anyway, if anyone's got any questions, you know how to get a hold of me, and I hope this has helped you do your homework this week.